Good evening, Trump family. Welcome to Open Source News. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and turn on that notifications bell so you don't miss a thing. Alright, the following is a collection of news from Patriots. Let's get into the news this Thursday. And it looks like Democrats continue to get away with attempting to off Republican members of Congress. Of course, conservatives off to the Supreme Court. Anybody can disagree with. They don't care. They want you gone. They want a one-party rule. They want to live in their communist utopia where they own nothing, and they eat bugs. That's what they want. And they will continue to do whatever it takes out. Unfortunately, the escalation it will continue to get worse. What currently happened to Marjorie Taylor Greene the other day was she was wanted. And if you don't know what that is, that's what somebody calls in a fake incident happening at someone's home. And the SWAT team normally arrives because somebody is threatening the harm, self-harm, or threatening to harm others. And they give the resident's address where they at, and the SWAT team comes in, and the hopes and the hollers hopes is to exterminate the target by the use of the force of the SWAT team. Well, I happen again to Marjorie Taylor Greene yesterday. This is all going trend that we see continuing to happen. In this age. We've seen it happen to Tim Pool. We've seen it happen to others in the conservative sphere. And we continue to see it happen to Republicans. It's not enough that the mainstream media will work up their own shooters, people like the congressional baseball shooter who went in to kill Republicans. And fortunately he failed. But they continued to whip up their activists to go and create these threats of violence against sitting members of Congress. Absolutely disgusting what we are currently seeing, but this is the reality that we live in. They don't want a two-party rule. They don't want conservatives to have a voice. They don't want America to be able to have sanity. They want to be able to rule with their insanity. What we're learning is a trans activist is the one who committed the second swatting of Marjorie Taylor Greene. That's right. This is getting support by the Democrat Party. I don't care what the media might say, media loves this. The Democrat Party loves this, Pelosi loves it. I'm sure they're giving names and was or maybe not acknowledging that. It's all the validation that these nuts need. So let's take a look at this story. Coming to us from Marjorie Taylor Greene and the Postmillennial Congressional Woman. Marjorie Taylor Greene reported that she was swatted for the second time in as many days on Wednesday night. This after having been swatted on Tuesday night as well, swatted again last night, Greene simply said on Twitter. Greene has been a target of swatting attack early on Wednesday morning as well, which was initiated by a 911 caller who claimed use a computer-generated voice to be upset over her proposal to criminalize transgender surgeries and hormone therapies for children. A police report regarding the new incident read on Thursday, August 25, around 2:53 a.m. Rome Floyd Emergency 911 received a call about a male possible shooting his family members and then himself to the home of Marjorie Taylor Greene. The male's name that was given was Wayne Greene. The call came in through it was from a suicide crisis center. But it was not through a phone, it was from the internet chat. The person who made the call, through the chat, advised that they came out as transgender and claimed that they shot the family. They also claimed that they want to try to stop me from shooting myself, I will shoot them. They also advised they would be waiting for us, Lieutenant Smith, advised Officer Grove and I to go to the location, and we tried to make contact with Miss Greene. We arrived and approached the house. Officer Grove went to the front door to make contact. Miss Greene came to the door. And we alerted her with the reason why we were there. The suicide chat line that was used could not get a location due to the persons using a VPN. So this is what they're doing now with anybody they disagree with. They want to actually really eliminate, they don't care, they want to terminate these people. And Marjorie Taylor Greene has invoked the ire of the trans community, right? This community who now is labeled being protected by the ADA, Americans with Disability. I wonder why there's a disability there has to be, right? And these people continue to get protection from the media, continued protection by social media, and of course protection for the Democrat Party. They are the most protective class in the country. They can literally get away with crimes and not be punished. And, very rarely is an issue one-sided, but the mainstream media wants you to believe that they aren't the problem or they aren't involved in the problem whatsoever, but rather the problem is you. They're not dishonest. They're not liars. They're not sowing division and discord in society. No, of course, you're just an extremist pushing a right-wing conspiracy theory. I mean, that's a Brian Stelter has been saying for years on his show, entire premise of his show is to hold the media accountable. He literally just came to the same conclusion over and over again, that actually the media wasn't dishonest. The media wasn't doing a disservice to society, but rather, that was just a right-wing talking point. But I understand that that is a popular right-wing narrative about CNN. But clearly, we know the truth. It's not a right-wing narrative. Right-wingers aren't extreme in pushing conspiracy theories. It's not an angry populace that's lashing out at the mainstream media, and the lies for no reason. It's happening for a reason, for very good reason, because they're total liars. And they do nothing but attack and attack and attack, pour fuel on the flame, frankly, not even pour fuel at the flame at this point. They're basically planting explosives and then they turn around and say, oh, well, why is everybody attacking us as dishonest? It's an attack on the press. Woe is me. I'm a victim. These dishonest media hacks are no victims. They are the criminals. They are the perpetrators, and it's about damn time that they get treated as such. And it seems as though that's what's happening these days, not only with what's going on at CNN following Chris Cuomo and Brian Stelter as canning, and of course add Jeffrey Toobin to the list, but even at smaller local news networks where a leftist hack masquerading as a journalist just got the boot, just got sacked for pushing Trump derangement syndrome, instead of just reporting the news. We need to see more of this, folks. This is the appropriate response to these dishonest propaganda peddlers, and it's time to usher in a new age of accountability within the media sphere. Let me update you guys on the story, and let's just talk about the media in general and the possible shift that is currently occurring. We've got some stuff to get into. So let's roll the tape. Alright, friends. So here's the headline story. This should happen. Every time longtime political analyst sacked for mocking Trump's looming orange-faced chief political analyst Bill Crane got the sack on Monday from Atlanta's Channel 2 Action News, after mocking former President Trump's looming orange face during a live broadcast on Sunday during a segment about Senator Lindsey Graham and his potential testimony before a Georgia grand jury over claims that the senator had attempted to influence election officials to tamper with the results of the 2020 presidential election. Crane turned his attention to Trump Labor Days, when undecided voters and non-aligned voters really start focusing on the election ahead and keeping Donald Trump in his fantasy of elections and play keeps Donald Trump in his looming orange face in front of voters at a time when they're trying to decide how they're going to vote. He said. Ray Carter, WSV TV station manager, took issue with Crane's comments and announced on Monday that he had been terminated. The reason, he explained, was Crane's failure to present the kind of unbiased report that viewers expected. Carter said that Crane had uttered remarks not aligned with our commitment to fair and unbiased reporting and analysis. As a result, we're ending our relationship with Mr. Crane effective immediately. We value the trust that we've fostered for decades with our viewers, and we continue hard to earn and maintain that trust. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. This should happen every single time, whether it's a small local little channel, radio station, publication, whatever it is, all the way up to major networks. There needs to be a distinction for what is comedy, political satire, editorial pieces, and what is real news. You know, it's that whole two-sided thing. These mainstream media Democrat hacks keep saying, well, the world is so divided these days, the political sphere is so divided, it's all Donald Trump's fault. Meanwhile, all they ever do is push poison into the public conversation, the way they frame things, the way they speak about things. They sit there and attack and attack and attack. They attack Donald Trump, they attack you, they make fun of Republicans and Trump voters as an educated backward hicks. And then they turn around and question, why is the world so divided? I just don't get it. We're such good, virtuous Democrat elitists. Why is everyone so angry? Well, people are angry because of you, because you don't stop. You know, you go out into the streets and you meet people, you meet Trump supporters and even Biden supporters alike, but for the most part, people are good if you're in the backyard and you're drinking beers and whiskey, grilling up some burgers and ribs and hot dogs, whatever it is, you're having a good time by the pool. There's someone voted for Trump or Biden as irrelevant. Most people are good people, and most people understand this, and then when people turn on the TV and people see these empty suit talking heads with their totally condescending attitude pushing this hyper-divisive, destructive, insulting, demeaning, condescending garbage. It's frustrating, and it has absolutely no place under the banner of news. News is supposed to be unbiased. But instead these days, The news doesn't try to give you information for you to make the decision. They try to make the decision for you. And it's exactly what we see. With all the censorship and all of these different topics, the mainstream media is going to tell you this is false. And this is fact, this is Donald Trump's fairy tale, the big lie blah. Instead of just telling you what both sides are saying and doing legitimate investigative reporting and work. It's frustrating, and it's incredibly frustrating if you're a conservative, a Trump voter or Republican, whatever you want to call it, because it always swings. One way it's being weaponized and it's always hitting you. You turn on the TV, you see some fake talking heads in a suit news that 10 everything Donald Trump ever says is a lie and a conspiracy theory, followed by the next story, 2 consecutive quarters of GDP losses. We're going to tell you why we're technically not in a recession and Joe Biden's economic plan is working. Also, the border is definitely not in crisis. Afghanistan was a success. Joe Biden's Inflation Reduction Act definitely is going to reduce inflation. And Donald Trump is a mean orange man who lies and pushes conspiracy theories. And you know, I'm being hyperbolic a little bit, but it's also not that far from reality. I mean, take a look at this headline right over here. Spin City PBS reporter claims 74% say the United States is on the wrong track because they fear Donald Trump's return. Everyone listen to this. 74% of Americans say the country is going in the wrong direction. Nearly 60% of voters say America's best years are behind it, nearly 60%. You may say, why are people so unhappy these days? Jose, it's a great question. And I've been out on the campaign drum in Alabama just today doing some stories about sort of redistricting and in the political atmosphere in this state. But what you see really is on the Democratic side, people that are very, very worried about the direction of this country. They're very worried, especially about former President Trump possibly coming back into power, or former President Trump or another Republican stealing the election in 2022 or 2024. Because we've seen so many election deniers be elected. Okay. The country's on the wrong track because the economy is collapsing. We're about to hit part 2 of the energy crisis as winter approaches in Europe and economic conditions continue to dwindle. But apparently, according to Michelle Seendorf, the problem isn't Joe Biden or his disastrous policies or any of the globalist policy errors of the last 2 decades. No, the problem is the reason people will think that the country is headed in the wrong direction is because of the looming orange face of Donald Trump. See what I did there? Well, you guys get the point. This is not news. This is as the Daily Wire puts in Spin City, and that's from PBS reporter, Michelle Seendorf, PBS, the public broadcasting service, PBS that gets a good chunk of its funding from the federal government, aka you're paying for it. And what do you get in return? You get Democrat propaganda, once again, attacking you and your political ideology, the leader of your political party, and you are justified to be angry, to be frustrated, and to frankly, just be sick of it all. That's the problem. They're the problem, no matter how many times they cry, oh, Donald Trump and his rhetoric against the press and the media. He's putting our lives in danger, even though there's no evidence to suggest that whatsoever. I mean, obviously, it's not a right-wing talking point, a right-wing rhetoric, Fox News rhetoric. It's fact, it's what's happening. They're dishonest. Frankly, I'd argue they're evil. And it's time for a new standard for the mainstream media and the press to be reformed. When people push clearly biased nonsense talking points and attack points, when people are using their privileged position in the mainstream media and as news anchors to further the Democrat agenda and to continuously attack the Republican Party, they should be fired. That is clear justification for serious reprimand, if not firing. And without that basic ethical standard, the current divisive noose that we're seeing in the political world is not going away. Even if aliens came down on Earth and kidnapped Donald Trump and took him away forever. Even if Donald Trump didn't exist in the first place. Without that specific change, the divisive noose will never end, and that is the most important fundamental fact of the situation. You want to do editorial pieces and do whatever you want to do, become a YouTuber. You want to work at CNN, PBS, NBC, The Washington Post, The New York Times, local outlets, whatever it is, be a journalist, simple as that. That should be the standard. And to Mr. Bill Crane from Channel 2 Action News in Atlanta. Good riddance and enjoy your vacation. Thank you very much. WWG1 WGA. Give me your thoughts below